Start bookbinding this year with this basic setup that you can modify and expand as your skills grow. Are you here because you want to make your own journal or sketchbook, bind your poetry or artwork, rebind your favorite novel, or make a thoughtful gift for a loved one? Whatever the reason, welcome into my bookbinding studio. I'm Chanel and I'm a bookbinder based in Los Angeles. I started bookbinding because I discovered how beneficial it was to journal for my mental health, and I thought it would be special to make my own journals, and I hoped that it would motivate me to journal more regularly. What happened was I got obsessed with bookbinding, and now I have way more books than I can keep up with, and I hope you can join me in this obsession because there's so much to discover. I love bookbinding because each binder can really make the craft their own. You can be very precise. There are skills that take years and decades to master. But bookbinding can also be like art therapy. You can make a book that doesn't look like a book or use all sorts of weird and interesting materials. Book arts is a lesser known name for this type of bookbinding where you can be very loose and free with your creations.
By the end of this video, you'll be ready to create books like these: pamphlet stitch, perfect binding, stab binding, Coptic stitch, long stitch, including this photo album, and case binding. Let's start by building your toolkit. You'll need a cutting mat, scissors, utility knife, the main cutting tool. The Olfa 18mm is very reliable. Bookbinding awl for punching holes. The handle shape is up to you. Bone folder for folding, smoothing, and other uses. This is the standard shape and size. Metal ruler for measuring and cutting. Get a non-slip one to start. This one has a cutting guard on one edge. Pencil and eraser. Curved 2-inch needle or number 18 straight needle. Bookbinding needles have blunt tips, a larger eye, and are built to be sturdy. Small and large glue brushes to match the area you want to glue. Glue brushes need to be replaced from time to time. Foam brushes are an affordable option. Some optional but useful tools are a small metric ruler for measuring hinge gaps, thicknesses, and cutting small things. Paper knife for roughly cutting down large sheets of paper and other uses. Teflon folder for rubbing down delicate papers, book cloth, or leather without marking or polishing it. Metal L square for cutting square edges. This one is made for bookbinding. It doesn't slip easily, and I use it a lot for cutting bookboard. Use bookbinding specific thread and glue for best results. Linen thread is ideal because of its strength and durability. Choosing thread thickness can vary depending on your project, but having 25/3 gauge linen thread is a safe option. If you're sewing thicker books, go with a thinner thread like 33 gauge. Waxing your thread can help with managing sewing tension. Crawford wax linen thread comes in pretty colors and is a popular choice for making exposed spine books. I like their 4-ply and 3-ply weights. I've recently been using pearl cotton thread for pamphlet stitch notebooks. This is an option for you if linen thread isn't accessible. Cotton can be a little fuzzy and is likely weaker than linen. Bookbinding PVA glue dries clear, flexible, and strong, and it stays that way for a long time. These are examples that you can look for. A higher quality glue is Jade 403. Make sure the glue is labeled acid-free, archival quality, or pH neutral. If you're finding that glue is drying too quickly, you can mix PVA with methylcellulose. Papercraft Panda has a blog and recipe for mixing glue that I'll link in the description. Make sure you order glue in the warmer months because once it freezes, the composition will change and the glue will not glue. Gluing and pressing essentials. Gluing can get messy. You'll need clean scrap paper or waste sheets to protect your workspace. Moisture barriers like watercolor paper, acetate sheets, or wax paper to prevent moisture in the glue from transferring to other parts of your book. Pressing is important for flattening materials and setting the glue as it dries. You don't need a book press for many beginner projects. You can use rigid press boards like plywood or acrylic boards that are a 1/2 inch or 1.3 centimeters thick and larger than your book. And weights. The brick is 5 pounds, and I often like to use the 10-pound hand weight if I need a bit more pressure. Lighter weights, like paper weights or beanbag weights, can be useful for keeping materials in place.
Since many of you starting out are probably using your dining table or existing desk space, I recommend getting a cutting mat that will fill your surface area and one that you can easily store if you need to clear your table. And I would designate your workspace into 2 parts. One part where you will need the cutting mat for is for cutting, sewing, gluing, and then since I have this width here, I'm going to designate this part away from me for drying and pressing. And those take time. You kind of just need to leave your books or book components undisturbed for a while. So very often this desk just like fills up so easily. So I also have my workbench and my flat file where I will press my books as well. So maybe that the pressing space is not your desk, it's somewhere else where it can remain undisturbed for long periods of time. Get a cup to store all your tools. This is a nice way to store your sharp and pointy tools, and it doesn't take very much space. And then you can arrange everything else any way you want. And now you're ready to start bookbinding.
Getting good quality tools is important, and bookbinding suppliers are reliable places to find them. Pause or screenshot to take note. Here are some recommendations on where to get paper.
I've been bookbinding for over 10 years now, and I've made a lot of mistakes in that time. So I want to leave you with some things to keep in mind. Bookbinding has a steep learning curve, and it's rare that your first several books are going to turn out well. So keep binding, and I promise that you're going to get better because each book will teach you so much. And make sure you keep the first books you make so you're reminded of where you started. That's all for today. After you've practiced for a while, let me know if you want to see a video about upgrading your bookbinding setup. You're welcome to join my Discord server where you can meet other binders and ask any questions. It's been nice to pop in once in a while to see people talk about their experiences, their challenges, and success stories. Happy bookbinding!